Hello and welcome back to the second part of our video. In this video we are going to go through questions 11 to 20 of the AQA GCSE Maths exam paper from November 2021. If you haven't seen our first video, be sure to check that out and then come back to this one. Let's have a look at question 11, which says, complete the diagram so that it has rotational symmetry of order 4 and a center of rotation at point A. Since it says it has rotational symmetry of order 4, that means that we need the shape to appear 4 times. We already have the shape once, so we need to add 3 more to our diagram. We cannot just add them anywhere. We need to imagine we have placed a pen on point and are rotating the shape around that point. We want to draw our shape at even intervals when we are rotating the shape. This leaves us with a shape that looks like this. Question 12 says 10% of 2,100 is 210. Work out 43% of 2,100. Since the question has been nice and has given us 10%, we can take this answer and multiply it by 4 to get 40%. 210 times by 4 gives us 840. So 40% equals 840. However, the question is not asking for 40% but rather 43%, so we still have to work out that 3% at the end. If we know what 10% is, we can divide this by 10 to get 1%. 210 divided by 10 is 21. Now we can take our 1% and multiply it by 3 to get 3%. 21 multiplied by 3 is 63. We can then take our two answers, 840 and 63, and add them together to get our answer. 840 plus 63 is 903. Question 13 states, Katie records the number of cars using a drive-through each hour for 24 hours. Here are the results. We can then see underneath. We can also see a chart that looks like we may have to fill in. However, if you read the whole question, you will see that it says we do not need to complete the chart. This is why it is important that you make sure to read the question, as you could have wasted time doing something that wasn't needed. The question is actually asking us to criticize the tally and the frequency chart. When being asked to criticize, your first thought should be regarding the data, or the numbers, you have been given and the chart you are being asked to put them into. If we look at our numbers, we can see our biggest number is 57. However, if we look at our chart, it only goes up to 50. This is our first criticism. We have nowhere to put our reading of 57 cars. Another criticism is usually to do with the labeling of the chart. If we look at the number of cars, we have a row for 0 to 10 and a row for 10 to 20. Where do we put 10 cars then? Do we put them in the first or the second, or both? So our second criticism is that we can actually put the reading for 10 cars in 2 different places. Question 14 is all about probability and says that counters in a bag are red, white, or blue. A counter is picked at random. Complete the table. We can see we know the probability of red is 0.15. The probability of white is 0.4, but we do not know the probability of blue. However, there is one more fact that we do know that will help us solve this problem, and that is that all probabilities add to 1. What that means is we can add the probabilities we know together and take our answer away from 1. Adding 0.15 and 0.4 together gives us 0.55. Now let's take that away from 1. 1 minus 0.55 gives us 0.45. That must be our missing probability. Question 15 gives us the calculation 31 times 84 equals 2604. We need to use that calculation to help answer the questions underneath. Our first question is 2,604 divided by 84. If we look carefully, we can see we have a similar question to the one above, but the 84 have moved to the other side. This leaves us with 31 on the left, which is our answer. For part B, we are given 3.1 times 8.4. Both of our numbers from the top have been divided by 10. This means that we need to divide the 2,604 by 10, but not once, twice, since we divided two numbers by 10. That gives us 26.04. Finally, the last part asks us to work out 31 times 85. Since we know 31 times 84 is 2,604, we simply need to add an extra 31 onto our answer. If we do this, we get 2,635. Question 16 tells us that a password has 30 characters. It is made up of 5 numbers, 15 letters, and some symbols. Work out the ratio numbers to letters to symbols, giving our answer in its simplest form. The first problem we have here is that we do not know how many symbols we have, but we can work it out. We know we have 30 characters and that 5 are numbers and 15 are letters. That means that the remaining characters must be our symbols. If we add our letters and numbers together, we get 20. Taking 20 away from 30 gives us 10. That means we have 10 symbols. We can then write this out at a ratio, 5 to 15 to 10. However, the question asks for the answer in the simplest form, so we need to divide everything by 5 before we write it on our answer line, which gives us 1 to 3 to 2. Question 17 has given us a fraction calculation. We have 5 over 6 plus 7 over 12. We may be tempted to add the numerators together straight away, but we can't do this since the denominators are not the same. First, we need to make them the same. Lucky for us, 6 goes into 12 if we times it by 2, so let's multiply the entire first fraction by 2. If we do this, we get 10 over 12. Now we have 10 over 12 plus 7 over 12. We can now simply add the numerators together. 10 plus 7 is 17, so that gives us 17 over 12. We may think that means our question is over, but it wants the answer as a mixed number, so we have one final thing to do still. To convert a fraction to a mixed number, the first thing we ask ourselves is how much of the denominator goes into the numerator. 12 goes into 17 once. This means that our whole number is 1. When we divide 17 by 12, we get a remainder of 5. This is our numerator. That means we have 1 and 5 over 12. Question 18 looks like a long question, but is actually made up of 3 small questions. The cost of making a phone call is a fixed rate charge and a charge per minute. The costs of phone calls up to 5 minutes are represented by the graph. The first part is asking us to write down the fixed charge. A fixed charge is the price we pay for a product whether or not we use it. If we do not use a product, the bill will be the same as a fixed rate. So in this case, if we use no minutes, that price will be our fixed rate. That's the start of our graph, which is 20 pence. The second part of our question is asking us to work out the charge per minute. We can work this out by looking at the price of the bill when we do not use any minutes, which is 20 pence, and then the price of the bill when we do use a minute, which, if we use the graph, is 28 pence. The difference between these two amounts is 8p, so we must be paying 8 pence per minute. The last part of the question asks us the cost of a phone call lasting 7 minutes. We cannot just read this off the graph since our graph ends at 5 minutes. But the graph tells us it costs 60 pence for 5 minutes, and we know the costs per minute. This means that 6 minutes would cost 68 pence and that 7 minutes would cost 76 pence. Question 19 says that a company sells bags of toffees and bags of mints. We have then been given a list of the number of sweets in each bag. The company claims that the average number of sweets per bag is at least 50. Using medians, is the company's claim correct for each type of sweet? For this question, let's focus on one sweet at a time. In order to find the median, we need to make sure that our numbers are in order from smallest to biggest. So let's order the toffees. Notice how when reordering I put the numbers underneath an already existing place. This allows me to make sure that I am not missing a number when I get to the end. If I have an empty space at the end, I need to go back and check what number I missed. The median is the number in the middle, so let's cross out from each end until we get to the middle. This means our median is 51, which is greater than 50, so he is correct for toffees. Now let's do the same for mints. The mints are already in order, so we simply need to cross off until we get to the middle. In this case, the middle has 2 numbers. This means we need to find the middle of these 2 numbers. The middle of 48 and 50 is 49. So the median is 49. This is less than 51, so he is wrong about the mints. Question 20 says that Freddie tried to work out 29.15 plus 83.47 divided by 9.82 is 37.65. By rounding each number to the nearest 10, show that his answer is incorrect. We are given a hint since it tells us to round everything to the nearest 10. So 29.15 becomes 30. 83.47 becomes 80 and 9.82 becomes 10. Now these numbers are a lot easier to work with. 30 plus 80 is 110. So now we have 110 divided by 10, which gives us 11. This means that the answer to the original sum is somewhere around 11 and not the 37.65 that Freddie got. Thanks for watching another video. We will finish the exam paper in our next video. Don't forget to subscribe to be informed when it's out.